Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Moonello Show. Today we are, just like any episode, we're talking about low code, no code, and custom software development. Today we're going a little bit more detail on when it might make sense to consider custom software development. Why is, we feel like, you may not realize that your business might have unique business requirements or unique aspects about it that low code, no code might not be able to get you to where you want to be or allow your business to scale based on your unique business requirements, which we'll get into more aspects, but that's the premise of today's episode. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah. I think we have a lot of cool things to talk about today. Very excited to go into some detail on some of the projects that we've worked on.
Yep.
To give an example of what custom software can really do and look like. But kind of before we get into that, we should probably redefine, what is no code, what is low code. I know we talked about this in depth in a previous episode, but just as a refresher, just so everybody knows where we're at and we're on the same level playing field here. So no code and low code, they're pretty similar. There's a gradient there where there's a little bit of overlap between what they are. But no code solutions are your pre-built packaged softwares, things that we use in everyday life, like Gmail, like Twitter, or like productivity apps like Asana or Trello, Jira, Notion, that type of thing. So really easy to use. A lot of them are free or really low cost, or medium cost for some of the really, really bigger ones. And the time investment, not that great. In a good way, right?
Yep.
Not that, there's not that great of a time investment involved with getting those things implemented.
Yep.
So yeah, those are examples of the low codes. So limitations of those, because everything has its two sides of the coin. There's limitations on flexibility. So like you can't do everything you might want to do with a low code or a no code solution. You're kind of like built into this box of whatever the developer that created those solutions built for you. So like that could mean that you're constrained to what the functionality of the app is, or in some instances, like they only have certain integrations available. So certain APIs, certain other data sources are available, while others, maybe the ones that you want to use, aren't available. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a thing that you want to watch out for. Also, you're at the whim of those solutions, so they can shut down at any time. They can increase their costs fourfold at any time, add or remove features that you may not want, or just do something as a company that maybe you don't agree with necessarily.
Right.
That's one we hadn't talked about before. Yeah. Certainly ethical concerns exist, right? So there's a lot of limitations, a lot of things that you might want to be aware of that maybe a custom solution wouldn't have those same kind of weird intricacies to it. So that's no code, low code in a nutshell. Let's talk about and define and discuss custom software solutions.
Yeah, for sure. So custom software solutions are what they are. They're custom. They're not a no code. They're not a low code. They're a full coded. I wonder if there's a term out there, full code.
Full coded, fully coded.
Is there no code, low code, and full code?
Full code?
Or is it no
maybe
code,
we're
low code,
coining it
custom
right
code?
now.
Yeah,
maybe it's custom code.
We do full code.
We do full code software.
I was just
Let us know in the comments.
Because there's low code, no code, and then like custom software development. It's like, what is it low code, no code, full? I don't know.
Yeah. On a tangent, I feel like I can only say reply to this in the comments once per episode.
Yep.
So I just did it. I'm not going to do it again. One of those jokes per day.
Okay.
You need to hold me to that, because otherwise I'll just do it 5.
We'll just splice out all the other times you say it out of the video.
Just assume that I've said that
audio
7 times this episode.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, custom software development is certainly, from the ground up, from scratch, requires a lot more time, a lot more investment, a lot more resources, a lot more, hands on deck, requires a lot more, but it requires a lot more because of all the benefits that it has for a business, for a company. there's certainly disadvantages, right? There's certainly advantages, right? So, maybe we could talk about advantages, whereas you have full access to the code. We have full access to the code. You have full access to the code. It's your code. That comes in itself with, okay, well, great. We've got full access to the code. We know exactly what's going on from a security standpoint, right? So we don't really have to worry about too much about, from a no-code solution or low-code solution, what is going on under the hood that we don't necessarily have access to from like a security or a data privacy issue. So if, we might get into this a little bit later, but if your company, deals with a lot of sensitive data, you're going to want to know exactly all the code that is touching that sensitive data, what it's doing with it, what it's not doing with it, and then you're in control of it, and you can edit it, change it, remove it, alter it, do what you need to with it to make sure you're not breaking any laws or exposing anything that you shouldn't expose.
That's so important because, yes, another party might be touching that information, but if you're the product, you're responsible for that. Mm-hmm. So they may have, screwed the pooch. I don't know can we say that on this episode?
Sure.
I don't know. That's the worst my language gets, by the way. So I don't know why I was so concerned about that. But anyway, the other company may have been responsible for that internally, but the customer doesn't care.
Right.
They're looking at you and, mm-hmm. Why was my privacy or my data breached?
Right.
Why did you mishandle my information?
Right.
So,
two other aspects or advantages, right? Flexibility and scalability, right? We discuss this all the time with our clients, being able to be flexible. While we might identify a feature part of the roadmap in discovery, and we go into UI UX and we design it, and then we start building it, and we kind of create prototypes and concepts, and we start to see the app on our phones or our devices. We start to realize, hey, maybe we should react a different way, or it'd be cool if we added this side feature to it. Completely flexible, right? We just build that right in, redeploy a concept or prototype.
Or what if the whole project has to change in the middle of it?
Sure.
Right? If you choose a low code and you suddenly pivot 90 degrees,
right, you
have to find a new tool. Whereas if you're doing a custom thing, you might have to take 5 steps back, but it's not like you have to find something new. Find a new person with expertise in something. You've got your development team who is now able to pivot mm-hmm. and start working towards the new goal.
Right. And from a scalability aspect too, you think about some of these no-code tools, popular no-code tools, kind of charged by the person, right? Or if you've got a team plan, right, you're paying X amount of dollars for 5 team members and then 15 team members, right? You think about a custom software tool that you have within your business, right? All you're paying for is to host and run the code.
Yeah.
You're not paying for, your 150 employees.
Your company doubles and you don't have to pay twice as much for your internal tools suddenly.
Or anything like that, yeah. Right. So other advantages, and also customization options. We don't see too many, we don't really see too often, building software and branding might change for a company over time. Yeah. Sometimes when we're working with startups, they might not have branding identified just yet, right? And we're kind of off to the races building the software, and then 6 weeks later they've got all their branding right, and we've kind of built a concept, whatever, on black and white and gray or whatever.
We've changed our black and white website to a gradient of 17 different colors. I hope you can accommodate that.
Yeah. So full access to customizations, right? Padding, spacing, right? Anything you could think of, color schemes, and there's a lot of low-code tools out there, no-code tools that give you that flexibility. Some do a really good job, but from a custom standpoint, there are no limitations whatsoever.
I think a lot of those low-code tools, you can adjust padding or spacing, but a lot of them you have to adjust the padding and spacing for every component that you want to put into that. So there is no
reusability,
master spacing variable that you have usually with a low-code solution. Custom though, it's just you tell it's kind of the joke, how long does it take a developer to change a button from red to blue? 5 weeks. That's a joke. But anyway, there's all you have to do is have a developer go in and change one variable, and your entire your entire application or your entire product has
Right.
has been updated for that.
Right. Those are known as design tokens, which we might get into those in the future.
Ooh,
Yeah, little Easter egg there.
that sounds fun. What's a design token? I'm joking. I know what a design token is. It's like, Jason, you've been working with design tokens this entire time. How dare you tell me you don't know what they are?
Nice.
I'm a good developer.
So custom software, right, I'm sure we can begin to understand how custom software platform solutions can certainly help a company scale based on their complex requirements that may or may not be able to be met with a no-code, low-code solution. There are some challenges that come into play when we start to build custom software. They're typically the same challenges that come up all the time. It's really the time investment, the involvement from the resources within the company that we're building the software for. But we try to make all of those challenges known up front, pretty much during the discovery phase or during the negotiation phase. There's never a time where a company approaches us and asks us to build a software platform for them, custom. And then we go off to the races and build it and then give it to them and say, okay, here's your platform. It is a way better solution, pretty much a standard today, that the company and the software team collaborate and work together every week at the very least, if they're not involved on a daily basis or every other day, asking questions, showing demos. What do you think of this? Hey, we found this, for this feature on the roadmap. What do you think? Hey, here's this concept. Right? Oh, we prototyped this other feature. Go check it out. Give us your feedback. Right? It's just an open communication that we have with our clients, and sometimes that really takes care of a lot of the challenge myths that are out there on, it took way too long, right? We never heard from the developer, right? Like those things are all, in our world are kind of myths. They do happen, unfortunately, but they are myths based on how we run our projects and how we collaborate with our clients.
Yeah, I feel like the good companies are the ones where you'll never have
Yeah.
a client asking, have you heard from the developer lately? Because it's kind of the opposite. It's like, man, the developer won't stop talking to me.
Yeah,
He won't stop
yeah.
bringing stuff up.
Right.
But I mean, you kind of
Looking
want
for
that.
feedback.
Yeah.
Cool. So, as part of today's episode, it's all about when to consider, how to evaluate whether or not you need to jump to custom software development. So, I don't know, what do you think we get to that?
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of turn this next segment into like a 5 tips for determining whether you should be using custom software as your choice. But there really are like a couple of really, really key things that you might want to think of before you really make that decision, like business requirements. Right, you need them defined. You need to make sure that does a tool already exists that does those business requirements? So are you just like reinventing the wheel when you could spend no or little money on something that already exists? Like, why would you rebuild Asana if all you need is an Asana type product, right? So there's that. Does the tool already exist? You have to consider the investment and timing, of course, because custom is always going to come with more money and more time invested in that. It's worth it, obviously, but you got to weigh those costs. Is that something that your company or your startup can handle right now necessarily? Strategy is something you want to think of, like especially if this is a customer-facing tool. Is there a need for this in the market? Will it give you an advantage? Can you sell it to people? Is there another tool that's doing something similar or better than what you might be planning to do? So there's obviously some research that needs to happen there. Intellectual property for your business, Matt. I don't know. Can you kind of talk a little bit on this?
Yes. It goes without saying that if you're running a business to sell it at some point, like you want to scale it to a specific point, later on you want to sell it.
That's
right?
An asset that would be part of that sale.
Right. The custom software platform solution that you've built to efficiently run your business, whether it's an internal tool or maybe an external tool, a public facing app, that goes into the worth of your business. That goes into, how valuable your business is. And if you're, if you've stitched some no code, tools together, and, those are just, everybody's kind of using those no code tools, it doesn't really add to the value of your business.
No one's going to want to buy your Google Sheets.
No one.
That's really what it comes down to.
Especially when there's 5,000 Google Sheets
Yeah.
in an account.
In your single company.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is, like, do you have the internal resources to handle what it takes to do a full custom software plan, right? Like you talked about this extensively a couple of minutes ago. There's meetings to be had, there's feedback to give, there's stakeholders that all need to have their opinions and thoughts and kind of like processes documented, and there's multiple departments that have to talk with each other about this same thing, right? And that's an investment. You got to pay those folks to do those things, and that diverts from their normal things that they would typically be doing on the job anyway. So, and there's kind of a diverse level of people that you need for that as well. Yeah. So it's not just your decision makers that you need to be in on those plannings and those feedbacks, but it's like people who are going to be teaching that software, people who are going to be using that software within your business. Like, does it meet the needs that your people or that your customers actually have? Not every CEO level person is going to really have that like grasp of what the grassroots of their business is doing. Yeah. So very important to have and prepare to have all of those resources being used.
Yeah, and you got to think about other aspects of the business. Like if this is public facing, you might need to bring in, your legal team to review. Is everything you're saying kosher? Does it align with any or affect any type of laws, like local laws in the area? You also have content, right? If you have copywriters or, paralegals or, anybody who generates content for your business that's going to be generating content for the software application, you're going to need to pull them in to provide content from time to time and to review content. And that kind of gets into our next topic about support and maintenance.
Yeah. So when you do a custom software solution, when that software is delivered is not the end of the cycle, right? So there's things that are discovered, like the third-party APIs you use might change. The cost of some of those things might change.
Like Twitter, all of a sudden charging.
Yeah,
Twitter
exactly. So imagine a company like Hootsuite who uses that to let their users on a free plan post social media posts to Twitter. Like you can plan and schedule all of your posts, and it's a really great tool. Twitter is planning on, they were supposed to do it on the 9th of February, but they pushed it back for some reason.
Oh, they're so nice.
Yeah. I think it's because of the outrage, or like they didn't really have a good plan. What a surprise. Twitter doesn't have a good plan right now for implementing something. But anyway, they pushed it back. But when and if that happens, suddenly this otherwise free service for Hootsuite is no longer free. They need to start paying for it. And is it paid per user? Is it paid per access? Is it paid like a general plan? So that completely changes how their free product works for their customer. Such that they've actually announced, Hootsuite said that they're getting rid of their free plan altogether.
Oh, wow.
Sometime at the beginning of this year, like the first or second quarter. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the Twitter stuff, but I don't know. Like I use Hootsuite for just because it makes it easy for me to post pictures across platforms, in my personal life, and that kind of sucks. I can do it manually, right? But that was the whole thing. Right. I had a no-code solution.
You had a no-code solution in Hootsuite
to do this thing, and suddenly costs are changing.
Right.
I don't want to pay for it. So, imagine that instead of on an individual level, on a company level.
Right.
Way more money, way more time, way more thought that needs to be put into it. So that was kind of a tangent a little bit, but it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, with the whole, and this episode is not sponsored by Hootsuite whatsoever or Twitter, right? But what a great no-code solution in Hootsuite, right? It solves a problem and it's great, and millions of people use it, right? But once Hootsuite built this platform and got it up, they needed to support and maintain it over, as they continue to do today, and this whole one aspect that can come up is the whole, the Twitter API, charging. So now they have to sit back and, how are they going to support their free plan?
Right. Which they've decided that they can't. And maybe that's related to Twitter, maybe that's not, but it certainly had something to do with it.
Right.
At least it was a consideration or a part. Maybe it was the tipping point or the, straw that broke camel's back type of a thing. So,
but even once you launch the application, and what, other aspects about support and maintenance is that, something you need to evaluate on whether or not custom solution is the way to go is that once this thing gets launched, like you need to be aware of what's going on the platform every week, every month, right? You need to be monitoring what's going on. Like once it launches,
you need a way for users to submit bugs to tell you that, because you will not discover every bug in the process of developing an app. Any developer that tells you that they can do that is just lying through their teeth. No one discovers bugs like customers, like a mass amount of people using your product. And you need to be able to handle that. If you no longer have a relationship with a developer after your app launches, and you no longer have an easy way to fix the thing that's going to come in a week.
Right.
It will be a week before somebody comes and discovers some way to break your app.
Right.
Some people like doing that.
Break
That's
it
the
or
whole point.
Right. Break it, or they even, you're hearing a cloud of people using the application, all kind of saying the same thing. Oh, it'd be so great if this thing did this, or hey, it's just like this other tool, but it does this other thing worse. Like it'd be cool if it did it better, right? And if you're listening and supporting and maintaining your application, you're listening to that, you can pivot the software application, right?
Yeah.
Because it's custom and it's flexible and it's scalable and you can pivot.
And suddenly that market advantage you thought you had just doubles because
Right.
you listen to your user base and
Right.
you have a plan and your software development team is ready to go with V2.
Yep.
So
So that's evaluating. That's evaluating. Maybe we can talk about when to consider, right, your custom software development, which might align with evaluating, but considering we felt was slightly different. For example, right, the custom software is certainly best suited for unique complex requirements within a business. It can provide a tailored long-term solution for a business and help it grow. For example, we've talked about unique business requirements. Something we don't really talk much about is, connecting to legacy systems, right? Companies might have, old school HR, time card related software, Oracle. I'm just trying to think of others, NetSuite, right? There's a whole slew of, enterprise legacy tools that are used for tracking internal purposes. But maybe you want this custom software tool to connect to that. Maybe it will, right? Or you want to build something to connect to that, and there might not be a no-code, low-code solution that can connect to the legacy systems. You're almost, pushed into the custom software world in order to connect to those old legacy systems.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of databases out there that run on some system that doesn't work like a REST API or a GraphQL API. And that's before my time of programming, so I don't really know what those might look like. But I'm sure there was something that existed before then.
Right.
And it's, like all the new low-code solutions aren't going to provide a way to interact with that.
We've seen a lot of movement in the banking industry with their apps.
Yeah.
Right? Their apps are starting to become modern, really cool, right? But the banking industry has had a lot of, slow movement for obvious reasons, right? For old legacy systems, for, complex back-end, ERP systems that have to work a specific way for security reasons and data reasons. And, it's all obvious. We get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's that. And then there's, when to consider, right? We talked about scalability kind of with evaluating, right? And we also talked about data security and privacy, right? Are you going to be dealing with sensitive data, right? Are you going to be dealing with PII data? Are you going to be dealing with like credit card data, which typically we don't deal with credit card data. That's typically vaulted and stored by third-party applications like maybe Stripe or Bolt or Spreedly or those aspects. We're never really building, reinventing the wheel on storing people's credit cards, because that's, you get yourself into a whole new.
And we wouldn't want to either, because those companies, very specifically have built their systems to be very like vaults.
Very
And
good.
you almost don't want the responsibility of handling that task, because like your resources can't match the biggest companies as far as that's concerned. And hackers are going after the people who don't use the reliable things for that. So yeah. I don't even want to touch that. I barely want to touch encryption. I'm so afraid of somebody intercepting what I'm sending off. So.
Right. And then there's, when to consider, right? There's long-term cost savings. When we say long-term, right? When comparing to low code or no code, you're basically paying a subscription fee every month. Maybe it's based on how many users or how many people you have at your company. Right, you might be paying that for, I don't know, how long do you plan on being in business for?
Yeah.
Right? If you, consider a custom software solution, it might seem like there's more of a investment up front, but once that investment is paid off, right? Once you've made that investment, you're done. Now you're just, reaping the rewards on the investment. You're not continuing to pay for the build of this software. You might have, support and maintenance costs that are happening. But the whole investment of like getting this thing up and going is, your long-term cost savings are certainly there.
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk about some examples of some custom software development, right? And we'll get into a little bit of detail on a few things that we've done, which might help you understand a little bit more examples on custom software development. So.
Yeah, that's cool. This is probably going to be my favorite part of the episode, because talking about stuff that I directly built sounds really cool, or had a hand in building sounds really cool. So probably the first one we want to talk about is we had a company that reached out to us. We're developing an e-commerce app for them. It's basically a restaurant, right? So they had some very specific problems that they needed solved. Restaurant, they're using the Toast platform to handle all of their menu data and their ordering process, and like handling that, sending receipts to the back to the kitchen to get prepared, that sort of thing. So they needed something that would connect with that to make that happen. That implementation doesn't exactly have all of the bells and whistles that they were looking for, though, because they also wanted their application to feel like you were in a restaurant. The whole point is that there wouldn't be any menus. You would be in this restaurant with your phone, being able to order from there. So they wanted it to feel like that restaurant. They wanted tab ordering. So you get to a restaurant or a bar or something like that, you start a tab, like you start adding food items or drinks to your tab and that sort of thing. And then you don't pay up front for them, even though they have your credit card information, they have your tab information. You pay on the back end. You pay when you're done and you leave, right? So they wanted that integrated as well. They also wanted a good group ordering system. So something where everybody could sit down at a table, be able to chat and talk about what they're ordering. I'm getting this appetizer if you want to get that appetizer, and have a way for them to do that on their phone and display that information on the phone. So they wanted you to be able to add items to your own tab while also being able to view everyone else's tab at your group. So that was another problem that they needed solved. And to further complicate things, they wanted it to be, well, not complicate, but to add to the complexity, they wanted an easy way for people to be able to start an order and discover if they wanted to join an existing group or not. Because the whole theory is that some of their areas might be communal seating. So you might have 2 or 3 groups at the same table, right? So the thought about that was they would have a QR code that could be scanned by the phone, and that would help them figure out what table they're at. So we needed, on the software side, a way to not only track who scanned that QR code, but also send them to the app stores that were appropriate to download their app, so that they could do the ordering. But also, once that app was opened, to bring them to a point where they say, okay, you're joining at this table. Here are the groups that are available at that table. Are you joining Jim, Jeff, and Joe, or are you sitting by yourself? So all of these things kind of wrapped into one is like one big problem that needed solved. Not something you could easily do with like a low code platform. Certainly no code platform exists to do that. Like, you could argue that Toast is a no-code platform in that sense, and they didn't offer this type of thing as part of their base package, right? So our solution to pretty much all of that is, I already mentioned the QR code scanner part. So there's a QR code on the table, you scan it. That barcode takes you to a web address that's connected to our server that saves some details about the phone for later use, and then redirects the user to one of the app stores to download the app if they don't have it already. If they do, then they could just click the open button and they open the app on their phone. Mm-hmm. Once the app was opened, they would contact the server again and send it their detailed information about their phone. And the server would know, okay, you scanned this QR code from this table.
The server in the cloud, not the
server in the cloud, not the person
restaurant.
of a server. Yeah, so kind of complex there, terminology-wise. Thank you for doing that. They would say, server, what table is this? Am I supposed to be at? And the server would either respond with the table number or respond with no table number was found, which means they didn't scan the QR code. Mm-hmm. So if they can't scan the QR code and there was a table found, then it would take them to a screen where they would be able to see what other groups were existing at that table already. And how did it do that? Well, when you do that, we would handle the start of the order process in our server's database. So we wouldn't even contact Toast yet. Mm-hmm. We knew all of Toast's information as far as their menu items and stuff like that, and what Toast would need to eventually create and start and finish that order. So we would start building that in this database for the individual user. Part of that means is when they join a group from that button, we would have a key in their group order kind of data point, their row. And this key would be the same for everybody that's in the same group. So it would be very easy when you go to the group page of the app, look up all of the table or all the records that have this same group key and show me all of the selections that they've made, right? So a very easy way of kind of showing that information. When the user would go through, they could add items to their tab. They haven't even touched Toast yet because all of those things being added to the tab are just updating that record that we have. That's slowly building this collection of data points that's needed by Toast to process the whole order. So that was really cool. Once all of that is said and done, you need a way to submit the order, right? Like, nothing's been sent to the kitchen yet. So we would also handle that through that database as well. So we would have a flag that said, is this person ready to submit their order? Did they click the button that says, I'm ready to get my food? And it would constantly check. Like, every time somebody pressed that button, it would say, are there any other groups with that same key? And is anyone in that group not ready to order? And if there were people who weren't ready, who didn't click that button, it would just say, okay, stand by. We're waiting on other people in your group to be done. And then the theory is that you would say, hey, John, hurry up, right? We're waiting on you to finish your order.
And the whole point of that is so that the whole order for the table was submitted to the kitchen at the same time. Exactly.
Kind of like the normal restaurant experience where your first round of drinks typically comes out together. Your first round of appetizers kind of comes out, or should come out together. So it's all just one big clump of experience. When that final person clicked the button, that is when that person's actual device would ask the server for all the web server, not the server, would ask the server for all of the records with that key and would manually just submit those orders for everybody, right? So these orders would include credit card information. It would include a token from a credit card vault as part of that. So every person would have their own credit card tied to their own order that would be submitted and would be sent to the kitchen. And in theory, it would all just come out at once. Nothing is still charged to their cards, though, because we have just submitted the order from Toast. Toast is printing out those receipts, sending things. People can then add more things to their tab. And as they add those things to the tab, we are updating it in our records. But it's also, when they go to submit that tab, it submits a new order to Toast singly. So it's just that one person's stuff then comes to their table, which I thought was kind of cool. You can just keep ordering for yourself and not have to worry about it. So that pretty much solved all of the problems that they were thinking about, except for what happens if somebody forgets to check their order out.
Right.
Because just like a normal restaurant, right? The human server is going to come out to you and say, okay, here's your bill, come
Right.
up or give me your credit card or whatever the case may be.
The old there's no hurry.
Yeah,
but,
there's no hurry.
Here's the bill.
Did you guys want desserts? No? Well, good. I thought so.
Yeah.
I've got your receipt all ready for you.
Yeah. No rush.
No rush, but there's a rush. I'm out in like 5 minutes. So, anyway, so there's that thing, but there is no physical server coming to check to make sure that you've paid your bill or to collect your credit card.
Right.
You've already provided that credit card information through the token, through the vault. But what if you forget to press that button that says check out to manually make that process? You could, in theory, just walk out the door. No one's checking to see if you've walked out the door and not paid, and just get away with a bunch of food for free. Nice night. So we had to implement that process as well, because that's not something that Toast handles by default
out of the box,
out of the box. So at the end, we had that same server running, and at the end of every single night, 5-10 minutes after close, when they're sure that no more orders are coming in, it would check every single order in Toast for that day to see, hey, was there a payment made? Was there a payment made? Was there a payment made? If there is one where there wasn't a payment made, we would check that history that we have, to that record that we had that built that order. We would see that there's that payment token there, and we would complete the order. Mm-hmm. So the server, the cloud server, would just complete the order for that customer who may or may not have done it on purpose. Of course, like we're not assuming that everybody would just do this, but a new type of concept, mistakes are going to happen.
Right.
That'll be a thing. So that was really cool. It was like a whole big 5 problems in one that were solved by this one kind of server implementation that we had done. That's probably so far, that whole ecosystem was one of the more fun things that I've done. So that's pretty much that.
Yeah, it's something I guess something we shine a little bit, or where we excel as a development team here at Moonello, is when things are complex, or things seem like there's 8 things need to be stitched together and all work. In orchestration, we seem to do pretty good.
Orchestration.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah, it is an inside joke, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And then there's another example we can share from a very large software application we built for a telecom company. The software will track, or will allow the team to track crews all over the country. Climbing cell towers to do analysis on the cell towers, inspections on the cell towers. While they're on the cell tower, of course, safety is always a big deal. They're strapped in, they're following all the laws and regulations. They're taking notes, they're doing their inspections, they're taking photos, they're taking video. And at the end of their inspection, their analysis, all their data gets uploaded to the cloud, pulled into the software application that we've crafted for them. And their office team will pull together the report, basically get it ready to get shipped out to their client for review. But that report will go through what's called a red line scoring, red line report, where the internal team, the inter-office team, can review the report and make red lines right on the report to indicate something was wrong. Maybe a misspelling,
or like a red line, like red means bad. Got it.
Like a red Sharpie on, your teachers would circle something on red.
Needs attention.
Yeah. Or like a big C plus whatever on the top of your test or whatever.
Because that's motivating.
Right.
That makes me want to do better.
Right. So in the software application, they needed a way, or really to back up what the business requirement is they needed a way to score and grade report generators, tower climbers, right? And it was a way to provide coaching on the back end. If they see a consistent thing that gets missed in reports, they know what to bring up during their quarterly meetings. So it was a way for them to kind of enhance their QA in a way, how they're doing quality and assurance on their reports, and they use the software application we built for them to really allow the two-sided way of, creating the red lines and having like a task list that would then get sent back to the report generator, that would then take a look at that redline list and correct the misspellings, add the photo they forgot to add in there, type in whatever section they missed in their report, and then they would check off that they got all those red lines taken care of, and then they would submit the report back for review, and then the report reviewer would then review it one more time and then stamp it and send it out to the client.
That's like a 2 to 3 levels of redundancy, good redundancy, to make sure that your process is really like stamped and sealed and delivered.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like if you didn't have that type of process and things fell through the cracks, and like that's what companies get sued over.
Right.
Is
Right.
missing safety data, or governments will fine companies for not being able to prove that they're doing the right things according to the law. So like that's a really important thing to have. That's not something that low-code is going to do for you.
No, and something really cool that we've been recently tasked with from this telecom company is, hey, with all these AI tools out here now, is there, and now that we're talking about the report, the report redline piece, it's like, is there, AI tools out there that we could use to interject into the system to where it's catching things that maybe our human report reviewer might not even catch? Like, could we run it through an AI filter first before, or maybe could an AI filter or some type of AI tool generate the report for us, so it's not on the responsibility of the tower climber at the end of the night to get this report out.
Right.
There.
Can you imagine like a chat
Tower
GPT
climber, field technician,
tower climber? I don't know. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Field technician's the job description or the job title, but the tower climber is like the reason that you take the job. Not me.
I think you'd be like a badass. Hey, I'm a tower climber.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. One of my cousins was a tower climber. A couple of my cousins were tower climbers, field technicians, I guess.
Yeah, and it's a different breed of people.
I would not. I can barely climb a ladder without getting a little woozy.
Right.
We've talked about this. Now I don't remember the very pertinent thing that I was going to bring.
The whole tower climber field technician thing. That's funny. Just talking about AI.
Yeah. Can you imagine a chat GPT prompt where you say, hey, chat GPT, I want you to review this document, and then you provide the details of the document. Obviously, there's no like image thing that you could do right now, but at least like the data could be there. And then after that prompt, you say, keep in mind, these are the things that I'm looking for. And then you list like everything that you want a report to do, right? And I'm sure that there's a tool out there that could build this prompt, so all you have to do is copy and paste in your report or the text detail of the report. And then ChatGPT just responds in text as if a human were giving you a report saying, I've noticed that you've missed this, you've missed that. This is really good, but it's not up to par with like your previous or what other people have done. And I mean, you'd have to build, like you'd really have to like send it a lot of data to really train this. But
it might get trained on every report that goes out, so that every new report it reviews.
That's
that's a
good point.
We're still thinking through discovery and requirements and what they want it to do and what they don't want it to do, but it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Yep.
AI. We're going to talk about AI. We also, unless it's an AI specific episode, we can only bring up AI one time per episode.
Uh-oh. You sure?
No, you're probably right. That's probably not a good idea.
With how cool it is, how do you not bring it up more than one time?
Yeah, good point.
All right, yeah, so those are some examples. Probably get into more examples in other future episodes. We'll dig into our tool belt to see what other examples we can share with the world. So we hope we hope we've been able to help you understand all the possible ways to evaluate whether or not you want to move from low code to custom, when to consider doing it. We're here if you have any questions. Really not that difficult of a task, but really is something that you definitely don't want to skip over or make seem like, oh, let's just, this is definitely low code, let's go.
Yeah.
Or this is no code, let's go. And maybe you've made the right choice and great, that's fine. Happy for you, but make sure you evaluate and you consider all your bases, all your avenues.
Cool. All right. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.